timer point, which was pretty fun to read. But cool to see that he's got a couple matches so far in this group. And obviously that's really cool because it makes this series very competitive in the group based on what could happen and what it means for the rest of going into tomorrow.
Well, we're going to be starting up here in the top right-hand side of the map, top of the red Protoss player from Team Exxon. She is Nina.
On the bottom left-hand side, our blue Protoss player, it is Semper.
I just see Maynard headbanging every time I hear it.
I was just about to say Maynard's back.
I know. It's like that one. There's another one that immediately every single time I hear it brings me back to like Sonic Adventure every single time. And there's one last one. Oh God, I'm trying to remember. It makes me do a massive flashback to something else.
It's been fun though. I've liked the mix up. I feel like every time I show up for the day, there's new intro music.
I'm like, what's it gonna be this time? What's it gonna be? Yeah, they're keeping us on our toes. I like it, especially someone who just started playing the guitar again lately. It's been fun.
Me too. Everybody's doing this, man.
Wait, really? Oh, dude, awesome. No, I started a New Year's resolution this year, and I've been learning it gradually.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I did see your YouTube video where you played the guitar a bit. Or something.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I think so. Or maybe it was a stream of you playing guitar. I saw you playing it at some point.
Wait, what did you just cancel? Did you just cancel a second gateway?
Cancel a gateway?
Is Nina just going to try and skip the 2-gate opening and go for a next?
Yeah, it's a response to what Semper's doing, right? Semper is going 1-gate expand. Nina scouts it, so she says, cool, I'll cancel my gate and expand just after you.
It's so funny, too, because usually, there's still a little bit of a scary spot there where if your opponent opens 2-gate and then they just chrono out some stalkers, put some pressure on, even on a map like this where there is a ramp, it can get a little bit scary when you start encountering a lot of those stalkers or like a proxy robo or something. But yeah, seems like Nina is more than happy to play the macro games. And that's actually the Nina I know and love, where it is just someone who is happy to go to the later stage of the game with some harassment units. But oh no, Wardy. Oh no, Wardy. When both Protoss players open Stargates, one thing happens. One type of game.
Yeah. This could be...
Where's Roddy?
Yeah. It's going to be fun. I've not actually seen Phoenix on Phoenix for a long time, as that's a big scout for Semper, by the way, into the main. So he gets to see that there's a Stargate on the way from Nina. Nina doesn't have the info about that on Semper. With the scout, it might just be, Nina's going to go Oracle anyway. She could have just gone Phoenix based on the fact it was scout. She could just say, oh, Phoenix are a safer choice at this point. But yeah, you don't see Phoenix on Phoenix very often, and we might not even hear with the fact that this is going to be Phoenix versus Oracle to begin.
Yeah, and a really funny dynamic sometimes, and it's like one of the worst curses that exists, I feel like, in PvP. The second that you as the Phoenix player who hard counter the Oracle opening, move out with your Phoenix to be aggressive, that is when the Oracle will show up every time. If you go immediately across the map with 2 or 3 Phoenix, that's when it'll show up. If you go with 6 Phoenix or 8 Phoenix, the Oracle will show up after your 8 Phoenix have left. It's every single time.
Keeping the Phoenix at home is because Semper scouted, and now Semper, there's no good news, right? You go across the map, Oracle comes in. You go across the map, you're down on Phoenix. So you may as well stay at home, and it's going to work out perfectly as Nina sees this now. We'll see if she cancels the second Oracle. Immediate recall, which is necessary. Yeah, she is going to finish the second Oracle, and that allows her to still bring these 2 Oracles across the map for some probe one-shot action. So that's something that can still happen here. And that's why she'll probably keep them for a while, and then it's like random Oracles, kill some workers. Or right now, actually, they're going to sneak already down the right side of the map.
Yeah, so the Phoenix should be able to pick off a few probes themselves as they can kind of dive in over here just before a shield battery finishing up is kind of an interesting move here for Nina, since, I mean, you don't really have the chance if the Phoenix attack together. They will still just one-shot the workers. But, if there is an Oracle follow-up or something, it's still kind of nice to have. Oracles come on in, though. They know that the Phoenix are out of position, so a lot of probes going to just get right-click down. Could even go for the sentry. They're just opting for the probe.
Yeah, 7 workers in the end. Obviously, you offset that a little bit because you got a couple kills, make that 8. So you got a few kills with the Phoenix. Nina will take a worker lead, but the Oracle's now dead, and of course the Phoenix still alive. So it's that idea of, you know, the Phoenix will still do more damage. The Oracles really are done for the day.
Yeah, and the kind of funny thing here also is that it's only 4 Phoenix. It's not even like the 5 Phoenix that can kind of be a bit more of a power maneuver. So these 4 Phoenix are going to try and come in. They'll try and get little bits and pieces of damage done, but it's really just about killing 1, maybe 2 to 3 workers each time they kind of dive in. And then they have to sit back, wait for the shields to regen for 30 or 40 seconds, and they do it again. So it's a very gradual process.
Yeah. Phoenix will try to come back into the main, but they get shot down. A little mistakes from Semper here so far. Love that they're both going to go Blink. I love Blink Stalker on Blink Stalker. Very fun to watch. A little bit faster for Semper. Nina already onto that +1 attack upgrade, though, so that'll be one of the difference. Then at the same time, Semper has a 3rd Nexus much faster.
Yeah, and I'm definitely with you on the Blink Stalker versus Blink Stalker, Micah. I mean, I feel like PvP has been such a crazy matchup. It's gotten panned a lot by a lot of people lately. But if there's one thing that I love in PvP and just in StarCraft in general, when Blink Stalkers get to micro versus other Blink Stalkers, it can be so much fun. But we do see Nina already adding on the Templar Archives, acknowledging that, you know, Archons are still very, very important and good to have in the matchup and everything, which does make me a little sad because I feel like I always enjoy when I get to see Nina playing with some Robo Bay disruptor units.
There's quite a few Stalkers of Nina moving into the middle of the map. The Templar Archives building about to be done. Obviously, that could make a bit of a difference. It's interesting to see Templar Archives off the back of so many Stalkers. Nina's got a powerful push right now, Fear Dragon. She's got 15 versus 8 Stalkers. There's 1 or more for Semper, but you know how fast that will drop given the opportunity, and that might just be a dead 3rd base. Obviously, Nina doesn't have Blink just yet, though, so might be a little cautious, and that could give Semper the extra warp-ins he needs.
Yeah, I think especially the Immortal is going to help out a lot. The nice snipe off on the Observer is definitely going to help out as Nina is not actually using that Robo right now. I thought it was going to be, you know, the typical Protoss thing where you're either getting up some Immortals of your own or you're thinking about getting up into Robo Bay or anything. But no, Robo's just kind of sitting idle for now. Nina is just going super hard on Stalkers. And I've got to tell you something, Wardy. Nothing is more, I guess, tied together with Nina and her history in StarCraft than Blink Stalkers. This is what she made her original name off of.
Yeah, and she's going on a real crusade with them as well, right? There's a lot of them. I love that she's added on Templar Archives. I love that she's added on all these other bits and pieces. And it's still just purely on Blink Stalkers right now.
I feel like I'm watching Alpha Star again, man. I'm getting flashbacks. And she's going to find a nice little opportunity over here. Snipe up 1 Stalker. Kala loses 1 Stalker, but right-clicks down the Immortal. Even with the shield battery overcharge, it does not matter. Too many Stalkers are here.
Gets to that high ground as well, so can turn and fight, and it's a good trade. Taking down that Immortal definitely helps the Phoenix across the map, trying to be annoying, but not really annoying enough. Again, what can 3 Phoenix do? Only a couple probe kills every now and again. It's just not really that substantial, and Phoenix are going to hide in the corner until they get another chance.
Yeah, the Stalkers are on the hunt, though. As soon as those Phoenix start to move a little bit too far out, and then the Stalkers might find them, but nope, Stalkers not going to be able to catch them since they are just way too far back in the corner, hiding up in the mountains. But as soon as Charge finishes up, Wardy, that is a kind of big turning point for PvP. The Stalkers gradually start getting phased out. As much as I love the Blink Stalker micro here and there, as that Zealot count grows, as the Archon counts grow, it's so difficult to really get a lot of value from this many Stalkers.
Nina coming around the left. I mean, it is going to be with the more mortal count, higher mortal count from Semper coming up. Definitely feels like he's in a spot to really hold this off. And if you can get across the map, it's very similar to the ZVZ where, you know, if you get across the map against Mutas, you're generally in a very good spot. If you get across the map against pure Blink Stalker and you've got Immortals, you're probably in a good spot. But then again, with Charge kicking in, maybe not quite so much. We are really starting to take away from this now. Love Nina's Robo Bay and extra Robo facility. Trying to get some disruptors in play with that high Blink Stalker count.
Yeah, you know, disruptors, I feel like, or just the Robo Bay in PvP has been a really funny one because we've seen a few Protoss players mostly try and go for the disruptors because both for charge lots as well as also just the Archons, disruptors can do a lot. But I've been liking a few Protoss players that just mixed in like a Colossus or two just to add that consistent DPS to your opponent's charge slots. It seems like it's actually been able to make a positive difference after you get up a few disruptors.
Hey, these stalkers of Nina.
I like that
around
position from Semper.
They're dangerous, these stalkers as well, right? Because if they get in your main base, suddenly you're running around silly trying to catch up. And that's a nice little snipe on an observer as we see the Phoenix getting some lift. Stalkers are good to try and target them down, but obviously, when you're in the sky, you can't blink back.
I love the one stalker that gets left behind. Warp Prism trying to come in over here, but look at that blink forward. Gonna snipe off the Prism right after the charge lots finished up, though. But the Zealots do manage to cleave their way down and kill an Immortal that was dropped in here as well. Look at the cannon shield battery defense, though. Man, Nina knows PvP.
Yeah, not messing around. Knew that was a possibility. Extremely well prepared for it. And now just going to a 4th base very quickly is Semper is going to keep on building Phoenix. So back into Phoenix production because he's realized Disruptors on the way. So Phoenix are going to be his answer to that. Being able to lift up those Disruptors when they're firing cancels their shot. And that's going to be the way that Semper tries to fight this. But that's where kind of the Blink Stalkers come in, because if you can shoot down the Phoenix, they can't stop the Disruptor hits.
Yeah, Nina is pretty good with the Disruptors, so gotta be really careful about that. I do want to note with the Dark Shrine coming on now, Semper and Nina both have exactly one Observer. And Nina's Observer is very aggressively positioned to scout out move outs and just army positioning. I'm a little concerned that as this push comes on in, Nina's going to be heavily reliant on Disruptors actually to kill off these DTs, which when they're attacking your army is never really a position you want to be putting Disruptor shots.
Well, Nina gets into this aggressive spot, can start firing some Disruptors to zone Semper out.
Whoa!
Oh, it's going to be a big lift in the end. No connection at the last moment. And with the Zealots in the front line, Semper is starting to overwhelm this. I mean, if these Disruptors just don't fire at all. Wow, nice dodging. Semper playing well, but a bit of that Terran micro coming in, splitting those Zealots up.
Yeah, no kidding. Is actually setting up a bit of supply after all of those trades. Now, Nina has equalized the base count and everything, so they're staying even, but there we actually end up seeing those Colossus I was talking about slowly being added in a bit. Funny enough for Semper is saying, well, who needs Disruptors at all? Let's go straight into the Colossus, which is definitely not the usual decision I see from here.
Yeah. It's Colossus have kind of become more of a thing again in PvP. It's been kind of fun to watch. They actually do okay sometimes.
Never thought I would say that I wanted to see Colossus again in PvP after Heart of the Swarm, man. Let me tell you.
Those were not the days to be watching
12 Colossus
PvP.
versus 12 Colossus, man. Nothing made me want to cannon rush more.
I know, I get it, man. I casted so many of those games and it's like Colossus everywhere. Yeah, that was kind of wild.
Cute little Zealot just decides, I can't really go into any mineral line. I'm just going to be a bit of an orphan out here and catch probes that are rallying on forward. And hey, we'll almost actually get a kill over here. Wow, nicely done.
Good job, Mr. Zealot. He tries to run away. Oh, he's out of there.
I love that Semper is exactly the kind of player who will be like, yeah, I can have the extra APM to micro this individual Zealot that was doing absolutely nothing of value. That's great.
Good on you, Semper. But maxed out once again here, so kind of getting to a bit of a reset spot, and Nina feeling like she's comfortable to move out.
Thermal Lance is pretty far away from finishing here, Wardy, for Nina. It's not the end of the world, honestly. There's so many Archons, there's so many Zealots here. Usually the Colossus are not the first target. If anything, you're probably going to go after the Disruptors first. So it's not the end of the world to not have Thermal Lance, but it is kind of an interesting timing. But yeah, I guess like you said, it's about the max out. Going to be able to do some damage here to the mineral line. Oh, those Disruptor shots. Actually getting a few of them to go off before the Phoenix get the lift ups.
And now the Phoenix are going down very quickly, so maybe leave some potential for Disruptors to actually connect again in the future, as Semper's army, though, is just not really dying. The supplies, and the supplies are very back and forth. A big warpage from Nina into the main. I mean, it's the sort of thing that Nina's not really had. Harassment like Semper's been going for. How well can Semper hold this off? Battery overcharge, cannon, DT. Looks like he's going to defend this pretty well.
Yeah, the DTs, I think, really sealed the deal. I think the battery overcharge is eventually going to actually fade away, but Nina going to be adding on the blink for her own DTs that she's now got the availability to make. I believe the Prism did get sniped off by those Phoenix, though. And oh, look at that. Semper even going to add on the Blink BP.
They both know where they want this game to end up, Fear Dragon. They both know what's good going later on. And this PvP as we're going to 5 bases each. PvP at its finest.
Really, honestly, a bit of a rarity to see it get to this stage, but I'm loving it. I actually really do enjoy when PvP can get to this stage without going to carriers. Carriers, I feel like, are a totally different ball game, and I feel like that does get to a little bit less fun of a PvP, but I feel like the ground army dynamic, extremely fun to watch. Nice snipe off on that Archon with the disruptor shots.
Oh, these disruptors. One of them connects, but a couple of Archons in the front are low. These fights are so chaotic as disruptors keep on firing, but the Phoenix are doing the job for the most part. And again, Nina is pushed away in the bottom right corner of the map.
Yeah, it's so funny to see some of these fights because Semper will actually go with the Phoenix and lift up disruptors. But if you look at the anti-air capabilities of Semper, a lot of the Archons are busy attacking Zealots and stuff. So they're not going to attack a disruptor that's lifted up in the air. And only the Stalkers are really there. So you have 3 Stalkers that Semper has whittling away at disruptors that are just in the middle of Semper's army because Nina's been chased back. It's pretty funny to watch. All right, well, here we go. Nina's going to come in for another attempt here. It's funny that Nina is pushing so hard on this one front. Is going to get caught once again, and disruptors, 1 or 2 shots do manage to land on a huge chunk of the Archons and even the Immortal.
Yeah, those are good disruptors to start this fight off, and once again, it's chaotic.
The
DT's showing up, and there's no detection here, apparently. Yeah.
Oh, the Colossus. I think the Colossus actually just do enough damage there that even without detection, they're just flash damaging the DTs down.
That's crazy, and Nina actually has an army supply lead. Going back up, still scary if the DTs came back into play, but Semper actually morphed them into an Archon. Maybe didn't even believe that he'd gotten rid of the Observer with the fact they were dying so quick. Disruptor of Semper connects on a few Zealots. This time the Phoenix lift, but there's no kills on those Disruptors.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a few Stalkers over here left for Nina that can try and take out the Phoenix as they do those lift-ups, but we're starting to see Semper finally adding on a lot more of those Disruptors. 3 coming out at a time for both these players. Finally, at long last, Nina is rotating around to another angle. This base is so vulnerable. The entire army is still down at that bottom right. Nina has been hammering away at it for a solid 7-8 minutes. And now, finally, the rotation catches Semper completely off guard.
Yeah, this is difficult running up a ramp into Colossi. Nina's going to kite to the other side of the Nexus where she does have a choke point she can use. And maybe, I would have said maybe could have stood her ground and maybe fought there, but continued to back away. Gives Semper the chance to hold on. The disruptor hit is big on some of Semper's disruptors too. Big moment there for Nina.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Nina got some good trades there overall. But I mean, realistically, she killed only 3 of the probes there. She didn't really even soften up the Nexus very much. I'm a little bit surprised. I really thought that was going to be like a big moment for Nina to just actually start storming through that base. But ultimately, it seems like Semper holds on to it and it just needs to find an opportunity to max out again. But I feel like part of the reason Semper's not maxed out is because Nina is still producing these Blink Stalkers, and Semper is just going for the best army possible.
These Zealots kind of somehow get on top and kill a Colossus. This was a bit of a weird fight as Nina evacuates, but the Stalkers in the bottom right are going to force a recall as well. And then we'll just blink away before the Zealots and the recall gets there.
Yeah, kind of a weird trade over there, right? Because now recall is going to be on cooldown, and Semper is very spread out. Semper's already sending a lot of that army back over to the left-hand side. The Stalkers are also moving that direction. I wonder how much does Semper leave on that bottom right? It looks like not actually a whole lot. Starting to send them all back over here.
Disruptor shots firing around. As you do see the Colossi coming in, it's going to lift up another of these Disruptors. 20 minutes of this PvP so far, Fear Dragon. It all started off with a bit of a disheartening Stargate on Stargate for Nina, who made Oracles into Phoenix. But here we are, with so many bases taken on Pillars of Gold, big scary armies, a lot of lasers in every single one of these fights.
Yeah, I think I can count on one finger the number of games I've seen where every single base gets taken on this map, and we're gradually approaching that point with this kind of weird stalemate where Nina is just pushing and pushing and pushing and never really finding the big opening.
Hey, this is huge. This might be base trade territory because they are on different sides of the map, and I'm pretty sure that at the very least, Semper's got recall on cooldown. Nina's is on cooldown as well, so we are full on base trade mode all of a sudden.
Oh, man.
As the bottom right and top left bases will be the first to fall.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. They're going after the mirrored bases as well, right? So that means that they're basically doing as much damage to each other's economies at the same exact time. Now, I do want to note, just because this is getting into full-on base trade territory where it doesn't seem like either one of these players are immediately looking to retreat back, there are a lot of DTs here for Semper. Okay, but the Observer does get picked off for Semper. So Nina keeps her own Observer alive. Oh, wait, that's 2 of the Robos. That's not all the Robos for Semper, right? Keeping Observers alive in a base trade is really important.
Yeah, he's got 1 Robo left, and he's got 1 Observer on the map at the moment, so he's okay right now. Whoa, he's gonna recall! Nina should just start to fire some disruptors into this. I feel like Nina didn't really believe how much was gonna recall there.
Okay, kind of an awkward fight, but the disruptors still managed to get some surprisingly good hits. A lot of Zealots and DTs are over here, though. It does seem like Nina still has an Observer or 2 alive. The Phoenix even coming in, trying to kill off these Colossus slowly but surely. We end up seeing some big disruptor hits going off on Semper's side this time. And Nina using a massive DT warp to snipe off one of the fresh bases. 48 Orcas going down, and Nina is going to be able to blink out of here with some of these DTs.
Semper did not handle this scenario well at all. He was very slow to move from the top left base elsewhere, whereas Nina just went from base to base to base. So Semper, as GG is called, Semper decided he had to recall home to be able to deal with this, but he's recalling into the army. I mean, he's lucky that the disruptor shots didn't fire like a couple seconds sooner, because then he wouldn't have been able to cancel any of them, and everything would have just been deleted the second it recalled in.
Honestly, Wardy, I wouldn't have even minded if the recall happened, but the recall happened at that further north base that the DTs just went to go kill, right? Because that's a base that you can recall to where the army's not immediately there, and you have space to kind of fall back to, and you can still come in and basically close in on Nina. If Nina goes up that ramp into the natural, Nina is trapped. I know that it looks like Protoss recall is absolutely massive, and you can fit everything in there, but you actually will have to give up a bunch of your Colossus, your Archons, or something on that recall. I feel like that may have worked out a little bit better, but I mean, Nina played that out really, really well. I feel like Nina just does so well in scrappy games.
Yeah, she was definitely in the trailing position for the most part. And even when it was evening out, it always felt like Semper was the one with better defenses, better harassment. But yeah, at the very, very end, Nina was able to clinch it and go 1-0 up in this very important best of 3 in this group.
Yeah, it's so funny to see Semper, you know, the Terran player that's always being so... Hold on. Okay, well, Semper is BRB right now. I'm just going to do a quick race check. Race check.
I'm pretty sure he's not allowed to swap, right?
I don't think he's supposed to swap mid-race or mid-series, but he is set to Terran right now.
I mean, everyone gets set to Terran when you join a lobby. If you like start in the observer spot and you get dragged up to play a slot, it resets you to Terran.
Okay.
We have...
I got excited, Morty, because, you know, I love Semper, and it's so funny and cool that he's playing Protoss. And I loved his Terran, man. I miss his Terran. I'm a little sad.
He was fun to watch. I mean, I cast him for years as Terran as well. And I'll never forget one night I was cast on an ESL America's Cup on a Sunday. This was like, you know, years and years back. And he played Snoot in the finals. And for some reason, the finals of this event is like best of 7. And we played like a 55-minute game 1. And the game 1 started at like 2 a.m. for me. I was just like, it's going to be a fun night, isn't it? And it's obviously Semper and Snoot. Every game is like this. We actually finished at like 4 a.m. It was like the longest series I've ever cast. So...
He's such a fun player to watch. And I think in a similar way to Nina, Semper plays extremely well when playing from behind. Like when Semper is down in a game, I actually feel like he's very good at coming back. And actually, I would say the same thing for Nina. So whenever these two do face off against each other, I remember them facing off against each other in one of the Challenger seasons. It is always one of those very funny places. But you know, this PvP's already exceeded my expectations in terms of how fun it'll be. I'm excited to jump in this next game. Introduce this player. Down here in the bottom left-hand side of the map, we have from Team Exxon, she is Nina.
Top right-hand side, the blue Protoss player is Semper.
Okay. So I just want to note no cannon rushes or anything, because Nina especially is a little bit infamous for a really magnificent cannon rush that she pulled off versus Neve a few times back maybe like a year ago that I think is still quite scary, which is the proxy gateway forge cannon rush, where you actually proxy, I think it's three gateways and a forge.
Yeah.
And then you go for both zealot, like just swarming on in while you're cannon rushing. It is scary.
I like it. Yeah, I've seen that a couple of times. It's definitely a fun one to see, but no cannon shenanigans in this game. I do wonder if we're going to see some 2 gateways apiece this time around, because you got to remember that last game. I mean, we obviously are, right? Second gate's on the way from both. Last game, Semper decided to go 1 gate expand, which you can do on maps with a ramp up into the natural, which is one of the reasons we wouldn't see it again here on Ice and Chrome. No ramp into that natural. And obviously, Ina basically decided to just macro along with Semper and just cancelled her gate. And that kind of led us to kind of like an expedited, macro game. So even when it was Stargate on Stargate, it was already on 2 bases each. And that kind of helped the transition through to the Blink Stalkers and all the rest of it.
Yeah, the lead up there was just as interesting as the actual position that they finally got to. But okay, well, we do finally see a little bit of a difference here. It's going to be a double stalker opening here from Nina, and Semper opening up with, well, it looked like double depth, but it actually goes into a depth stalker instead. A little change up there.
Yeah, interesting. You don't usually see a depth stalker.
I think it's because it was going to be double adept, and then Semper saw the pylon block and was like, oh, adepts are not going to kill this very quickly, and just canceled it.
That's where I was going to get to. It's not really what you usually see, and it makes, now he adds 1 more adept as well, right? So it makes sense. He's just looking for a fast expansion, as Nina is as well, already pulling the probe to the low ground to get that Nexus started. So both players will expand. So even though it's 2 gates apiece, there's still going to be an early expansion from both, which is in general a direction we've seen PvP take recently. With the battery overcharge, we've been seeing much less of that 1 base gameplay.
Yeah. It's fun to see Semper still kind of retain what I would say a lot of the fragments of his kind of old playstyle as a Terran player, where Semper used to be like notoriously a macro player, to the point where a lot of people would just hard predict him trying to play macro and doing like a safe macro style, and would just either play extremely greedy or they would go extremely all in on him very early on. And Semper got punished a lot for that. And he kind of did round out his play over the past few years before he kind of semi-retired and came back. But I feel like, yeah, in PvP, he really does seem comfortable going to the later stage of the game, something I think is kind of rare in PvP in general. And I feel like Nina is actually the same way. I actually think, Wardy, we may get into another big macro game.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially on like a map like this one, like Ice and Chrome is totally a thing. So I can get behind it. I can get behind a big macro game. I think it'd be very fun. Semper is going to apply some pressure early with these adepts, though. Has been building purely adepts, bar that 1 stalker we discussed earlier. So this is a lot of adepts showing up early, and Nina's putting a lot of money into tech choices at Sarah, and might be outnumbered. Really comes into this shield battery, and having that is huge.
Yeah, I mean, there's only 2 stalkers over the natural. There are obviously more in the main base right now. Oh, but the adepts are going to just go over to the main base, and they get caught by the stalkers. Oh, man. This is actually going to be pretty brutal. Barely 2 workers have gone down. This is not the start that Semper wanted, but finding a few probes kills now.
And now we're going to go up into the main.
That's awkward.
Yeah, that doesn't feel like quite what was meant to happen, but it's kind of working out, I want to say. Yeah, it's been kind of weird, but 7 workers lost, and that is just going to be the worker difference on the map. I mean, there is going to be Nina on a better stalker count with Blink, so maybe that's why Nina makes something happen, but she is behind on the worker count. These adepts have done a good job because they also denied some mining with the work that did survive as well.
Okay, well, yeah, Blink is halfway done, and unfortunately, that's it may not seem like a big deal. It's not the end of the world or anything, but Nina is going to have 1 less chrono boost for example, Blink or any of the other upgrades that Nina's probably thinking about going for, even just probes being chrono boosted out. So that's going to hurt a little bit on top of the workers that Nina already lost. And now more adepts managed to make their way in, but this one is a trap. This one is going to be the stalkers catching the adepts, baiting them into the main base, and then going for the kills on these adepts. Adepts still managed to get 4 kills, though, which is already more than Nina wanted.
Yeah, once more, it's just Semper really keeping a good eco lead. I'm very worried about the Stalker counterattack because it's coming, right? We know it.
Mm-hmm.
And it is going to be a way better Stalker count here initially. Now, +1's on the way, but +1 will not matter if you just get completely overwhelmed. But with battery overcharge, more batteries here, even with the number difference, I see Semper holding on long enough to maybe get that +1 into play and, you know, enough shots off for the +1 to make the difference.
Okay, there's one thing I'm worried about, Wardy, for the counterattack to be effective, which is the Observer going to pop out in time? And the answer is no. Even with a Chrono Boost, the Observer does not get here in time to snipe off Nina's. Nina dives in, depowers two of the gateways over here. Is actually going to be able to kill the Observer as well of Semper, preventing additional effectiveness there. Oh, and now Nina. Oh.
Yeah, the gateways are huge. This is all before +1 as well, and it avoids all of the batteries and everything we talked about defensively that was meant to be so good. And to buy time for Semper, and now Semper just doesn't have enough. Trying to warp in Stalkers into this fight is not going well. And this is Nina looking really, really good. There's a battery doing some work here or there, but yeah, I mean, this was obviously not the scenario you wanted to be in, because now Semper in some trouble and still hasn't retaken control of his main base.
There's one pylon that's powering two more gateways, the Twilight Council and the Robo. The one that the Stalkers are being warped in at, that is actually a really vulnerable pylon right now. If Nina identified that, Nina has some more Stalkers coming in. This is not the end of the aggression. With some more Blink Stalker micro over here, we're seeing from both sides, keeping these units alive. I think the Immortal should make it out in time. Nina is still going ham, though.
Yeah, if the Immortal's on its own, right, then it's maybe not so great. But right now, the Immortal's in a position where a lot of these Stalkers are very low, and Nina has overstayed her welcome, losing some units as she blinks on out, taking a third base behind this, but will be behind that +1 upgrade. Yeah, I mean, the biggest issue was that Nina had no way to warp in aggressively, right? So there was no real reinforcements coming into this. If there was even a slow warp in pylon, she has so many more Stalkers, probably wins the game, will still keep map control, and will kill/cancel this third and have that as her advantage.
Yeah, really, really nice pickoff over there and just delaying that. And finding that, the Stalkers don't have the power of that Immortal that's trailing very far behind, but now the Observer is going to finally get picked off. And I think Semper's going to breathe a massive sigh of relief saying, okay, thank God that Observer's dead. At least I can wait a little bit before I have to worry about you blinking up to my main again.
Oh, Nexus rebuilding from Semper. It's just so delayed. I mean, the income right now is still a bit Semper focused, favored, but I imagine that's just because Nina's finally getting that third base saturated. And from here, I mean, Semper will maintain that attack upgrade lead. But then Nina's on such a fast charge, and maybe can do something with that. And the Prism on the way definitely feels like Nina wants to go aggressive with just the gateway units, right?
Yeah, I think once charge finishes up, suddenly this Stalker Immortal army is not going to fare so well. But like you said, +2 weapons is actually a really big deal in this matchup. +1 weapons, it provides very minimal benefit. Oh, nice snipe off on the Observer again. I was going to say, yeah, +1 weapons provides very minimal benefit. So Nina's going to be down that upgrade, a very important one. And it's only a +2 that you start having massive changes in the kind of the damage kill points with your units and how many attacks it takes to kill things. I like the Dark Shrine follow-up behind this as well for Nina to add in a few Archons, but also just Nina's killed a lot of Observers this game. This is going to be the big do or die moment, and I'm expecting a big round of charge light warp-ins in a second. Oh, more Stalkers.
Yeah, maybe just massing Stalkers and then reinforcing with charge lots. Could just blink in for that Immortal, and I think that's the call, right? You get rid of that right away, then you do have the better Stalker count, and Semper, well, he still has Blink Micro on his side, but it feels like he's not really microing any Stalkers back right away. Some extra Stalkers showing up, but the numbers difference is already huge, and continue to blink in aggressively. Nina looks as though she will just Blink Stalker her way to a victory here. An so important victory, as that could just be a target fire down on the battery overcharge, or you can just one-shot some Stalkers. That works as well.
Yeah, it's 52 army supply to 18 right now. Nina comes in with more Stalkers, gets the GG.